Welcome to the Whiskey After Work podcast. This is where booze meets business. I'm Doug Shaw, owner of Peach State Business Brokers and Advisors.
And I'm Melissa Hergert, owner of Brain Train Centers.
We are serial entrepreneurs that love to learn from other successful professionals and love to drink whiskey. Hello, Melissa.
Hello.
What was that looking for?
How are you?
It's been a long time.
Right?
Did you miss me?
Never.
Damn.
You know, the other night, so me and Kristen go out, and then he calls me the next morning. He's like, how many times did you try to call me when you guys were out? I was like, few times, but it kept going to voicemail. He's like, yeah, because I put it on Do Not Disturb because I know you bitches were going to call me at 2 a.m. Right?
David Boswell says, for the love of God, he's a married man. Quit calling him.
We are not calling him for those reasons.
No.
That's why you do call him.
I know. He's safe.
Oh, jeez. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Brain Train Centers,
Woo woo.
Keystone Realty Group,
Hey.
and Peach State Business Brokers and Advisors.
Wonderful.
I would like to remind everybody that the opinions stated on this episode are those of the person actually saying the words.
Nothing else.
And nobody else.
That's right.
No companies, no sponsors, no anything but the jerks saying what they said. If you're easily offended,
Stop
you
listening.
might want to move on down the road.
Stop listening.
But if you want to have a good time and talk about booze and God knows what else, and maybe even a little bit about business,
Maybe.
hang out. We're going to have fun.
Yeah.
So, here we are with one of my favorite people in the entire world.
Yeah. Duh. You.
She's a rock star. She does know real estate, but we're not going to talk much about that.
Mm-hmm.
She's a coach.
Mm-hmm.
She's an incredible singer,
Yep.
a pretty fair dancer. She's almost a stalker.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
And she sees dead people.
Such an ass.
No,
I actually think that was in the bio.
Did you? That's awesome. Wait, what's the stalker part?
Steven Tyler.
Oh, yes, you did do that. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I know
did
that.
do that? I think she still would. if
She
had the
probably would.
opportunity.
True.
She said,
I'm
that
scared.
dude does not look like a lady.
Mm-mm.
So,
And her name is?
her name's Michelle Froedge. I already
You
said
said that
it.
already?
Are you?
No,
Yes.
you didn't.
No, you didn't.
I think I did.
No.
But you know what? I'm going to say it
Say
right
it again.
now.
Say
Say it.
her
You
name.
say it.
Say her name
Say
again.
my name. Say my name.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What did I get myself into today?
It's good we had a drink earlier.
Yes.
This is good.
What do you mean earlier? This is our first episode of this
No,
week.
like earlier today.
Oh, okay.
Michelle Froedge.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yes.
So you're from Phoenix.
Yes, I am.
I once heard a comedian say that Phoenix was an Apache word for Jesus Christ, it's fucking hot.
Yeah, it is.
So stupid.
So I was not born there, but raised there. And my mom likes to tell the story that when we were coming down through Flagstaff, through the mountains into Phoenix, she had never been to Arizona before. And it was the middle of August.
Oh.
And anybody who knows what I'm talking about is also going to understand that when we were coming down in the U-Haul with no air conditioning, my mom started crying, saying, "You're bringing us to hell." Because it was so hot.
Yeah, and it's a
But-
dry
But
heat.
It's so
Flagstaff
amazing,
is
though.
damn near heaven.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's
That's why
gorgeous.
when coming down through the mountain, from the mountain into Phoenix, she really thought that my dad was bringing us to hell because it was not.
What
at
was
all
it, like
that.
118 or something?
Probably.
Yeah.
Mhm. I didn't
it's
care. We had a swimming pool.
Dry heat.
Oh, nice.
I just
it is
jumped
dry
right
heat,
in.
but
Yeah,
it's
it's wonderful.
hot. I mean, but yeah, I do like dry heat better too. Yeah.
Oh, it's
For sure.
so
Yeah.
Totally
incredibly hot.
doable.
Yeah, especially with a pool.
You can't survive with that one. It's really not good.
The first time I ever went to Phoenix, I played the TPC at Scottsdale, and it was 114 degrees out, and I did not break a sweat the entire 18 holes.
Yeah.
And that scared me.
Yeah. You got to drink water. Water, not alcohol. You must drink water.
Yeah. Mix the two, maybe.
Yeah.
And then off to Nashville she goes.
Yes.
So what were you doing in Nashville? I got a hunch.
Well, I moved there to sing, and
You sing?
a little bit. We'll get to that. Yeah. So I went there to sing, and I did. I sang, and it was great. And I got a record deal for a minute. Don't be too impressed because pretty much everyone gets one. It's a matter of who puts the money behind you, right? So if you have talent, it's not that difficult to get a deal because there's all sorts of like little, independent labels and stuff around. So people are always looking for somebody to make money off of. And they thought they could make money off of me. And then that fell through, as like 99% of them do. And as it was falling through, a girlfriend of mine said, "Hey, I'm taking real estate courses. I think you should try it. I think you'd be great at it." And I was like, what have I got to lose, right? So I wasn't doing anything else. And so I did. And then the rest is, as they say, history, because 20 years later, I was still a broker. I was a managing broker at that point of an office with about 50 agents that I coached and mentored and, cracked the whip on and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So I built a really, really successful real estate business, and I loved it for a very long time. I liked to say the best part of my job was the people, and the worst part of my job was the people.
Right.
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great market then, too. I mean,
Yes.
Nashville's still a booming market, but, man, that was breakneck speed then in Nashville.
Well, I did get in right before the crash, though, right before, the 2008, 2009 thing. And it was actually a perfect time for me because I learned how to weather the storm. If you can stick with something when the tide has turned,
Definitely.
then, you got something going for you.
That's right.
And I was able to do it. And I didn't do it alone, clearly, but I was able to do it. And then I just kept growing and growing and growing. And I really did love the business part of it. I loved finding solutions for things. And there's a lot of solutions that have to be found in real estate.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again.
Yeah. And, I really did also enjoy the fact that no two deals were ever the same. None. Some would be super, super complicated and messy and awful. And then the next one could be a breeze with the most lovely people that were the easiest to deal with, and they send you gifts and tell all their friends about you, So there was never the same day twice in my real estate life, which was great. I liked that part about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what brought you to Atlanta?
Well, here we are again, music, yet again. In a totally different way, though. So I had, my huge life in Nashville, and I was singing, but about, let me think here. It was probably 10 years prior, so it was, what year are we even in? God, it was probably like 2015 maybe. I was introduced to a band in Atlanta, actually, still living in Nashville. And I was subbing for them. And so I would come down here and travel around with them. And, but not full time, just for the big gigs. And then I had big life changes, got divorced, needed to find myself, I wanted to like be free and be who I wanted and needed to be at the time. And so I kind of just threw caution to the wind, and I thought, well, I can do anything, go anywhere, be whatever I want to be. So what is it? What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And I talked to the people in the band down here, and they said, hey, if you come this way, we'll put you in full time. You'll work every weekend while you're, building your business here or whatever you want to do. And so I jumped at the chance. So I came down, and I also met a guy, because that happens. That does happen. So, but I took the chance and I made big moves, and I will never look back. It was a great decision, because since then I've grown and changed and really found myself. And that was key to the whole transition. I didn't know it at the time.
Is this the same band you're still in?
It is. And if you are in the Atlanta area, you might know of us. We are a really fun party show band around town called Band X. And if you want to check us out, you can see me in a tutu, bandxlive.com. Yeah. I have a funny story about the tutu. You want to hear the funny story about the tutu?
Sure.
Okay.
Please.
So I'm in real estate, but I'm still I already had started subbing and working with Band X in Atlanta. And so I am driving a client around, and the band was headed to a big gig that we had in Vegas. And so we wear, Vegas-y costumes when we go there, right? So I had part of my costume in the back seat of my car, because I needed to go find something to go with the costume. And the part of the costume I had, was sitting back there, the bottom part. And so I'm driving this client around, blah, blah, blah. And so, we're making small talk, and she kind of like glances in the back, and then she's like, so you have kids? I said, no. Like, I was like, where'd that come? Like, cause she said it really assumptive, And I was like, no. And she goes, oh, well, you have a tutu in the back of your car. I said, yeah, that's mine.
Did she continue to do business with you?
I'm sure she did for a minute, because that's embarrassing if you're just like, let me out now.
Until you got
Uber
to the
wasn't
location.
readily available at that point.
Right.
So I don't know how long Melissa's known you, but I met you virtually. I think we met during COVID.
During COVID?
Did we?
Doing our Thursday night.
Over our Thursday night Zoom happy hours.
Yep.
Was it?
Is that right?
It wasn't before then, huh?
No, I never
No,
met her.
we didn't know each other before.
I didn't meet her in person until after all that mess. So I think I met you in person about 2 years ago. And
I've known her for over 5 years now.
Yeah.
When I was I pregnant with Elia or before? Before I was pregnant with Elia.
No, not before Elia. No, because I moved here 4.5 years ago or so.
Yeah, right around that time.
Right around that time, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I met you. I think you dropped in on first time I met you. You dropped in on one of our Thursday night happy hours.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, yeah.
We drank a lot.
We did during that time. That was fun.
That first 3
there
months,
wasn't a whole lot
I
else to
put on 10
do.
pounds.
Seriously.
No, there wasn't. Walk and drink.
Serious.
Yeah.
Not a lot of business.
Well, we were just like floundering. We were wandering. We didn't know what we could do,
you
should do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
You could
weird.
put on your face diaper and go out and hunt for toilet paper. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
you got
Or your glitter see-through
oh
mask that I would wear.
the sequin
yes.
mask.
It was so protective. You were the smartest one of all.
Oh God!
breathed fresh air.
I saw somebody pulling out of the Kroger parking lot today, and he's got the window down,
Stop.
the mask under his chin, and I just wanted to scream, "It's over!"
Take it off. You're creating more trash.
I laugh because I'm pretty much politically I'm a libertarian. I'm
Me
pretty
too.
much in the
Yeah.
middle, and I heard a podcast host say that the face mask is the mega hat of the far left. It's just like the same people won't let go of the red hat.
That's right. Yeah.
That
Seriously.
the farthest left won't let go of the face mask.
Let it
And
go, people.
Just let's move on. Kids will read about it in history books like the Spanish flu and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's me that's like, you know what? But spreading love and light. Everybody is on their own journey, and if that's what feels good to them, if they think they need it, then
I'm cool. Just don't throw it on the ground.
True.
Absolutely, don't
True.
create more trash, like you said, Melissa.
Yeah.
Or don't look at me like I'm infected.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You tell me that I'm part of the problem, then that's
Then we'll
not
have a
good,
problem.
But
It
yeah.
makes you feel good. Have at it.
Yeah.
So in Atlanta, singing in a band, you meet Melissa and I, but you do other stuff.
Yeah.
New stuff.
Yeah. So the real estate thing, speaking of COVID, so I moved to Atlanta about 4.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then we all know what happened. Well, I was traveling back and forth, I will say, back and forth between Nashville and Atlanta.
A lot. Like
Yeah.
almost weekly. it
Almost
seemed
weekly.
Like.
Yeah, and it
Right.
was true. Yeah. And because I still had a really great business there, real estate business. And then about a little over a year went by. We ended up closing the office, et cetera. And that was my time because I was like, okay, now again, I have the chance to do whatever I want to do. And I made a really big leap. So, real estate agents, if they are good, hell, even if they are mediocre, they can make a really good living. I mean, honestly. And I was really good. So I made a really good living. And so when people heard that I was, getting out of the business, they looked at me like I had 5 heads. Like, I'm sorry, what? And this is the truth. Money, this is so cliche, but money did not buy my happiness.
Yeah.
I had it. I had pretty much storybook life. From the outside, I had the life that people wished they had. And yet I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. And I knew there was something more, but I didn't know what it was. And then slowly but surely I started remembering, and this is kind of cliche too, but I started remembering who I was. And who I am is this very gifted, intuitive woman and loving spirit who loves to see others win and loves to help guide others to their win and to their success, whatever that looks like to them. And because I had coached for so many years in my real estate business, and I had been coached because I believe very fully in coaching. I mean, full out. I've spent a lot of money on coaches, and I still do because we sometimes get so close to our issues issues that we can't see them.
For sure.
Did you come up through Keller Williams?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big part of their culture.
Coaching.
It is, yeah.
For sure.
Sure. Yeah, I was there for 4 years. But I just, so I believed in coaching and I still believe in it. So because of all of that, I knew that I loved to see other people win and I loved to help, I loved to be a part of that. And so I tapped back into my intuitive gifts that I had buried for a very, very long time. And we can get into what those are in a minute, but I realized this is it. Like, this feels like home. It's coming back home for me. And it was this like the angels all sang, they were all lined up singing. And I could see them and I could hear them and I was singing with them.
And then like a bad Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga movie.
Oh,
A Rockstar Coach is born.
Born. That's right. Very nice.
right.
Like that.
Very
Yeah, there
nice,
you go.
Doug. I'm going to give you a point for that
So-
one for sure.
Before we dive in too deep
Yes.
to your intuitiveness, and,
Yeah.
and I give you a healthy dose of shit. For
Oh,
this,
yes.
you know.
Oh,
And I
I
love
love
it.
it. I know.
So fun.
I do.
I give it right back.
I've
I know.
pretty much nicknamed her Woo Woo. And you you like other rock stars. I mean, as every musician does, but you hold one up on a pedestal that I also give you a lot of shit about.
Yes.
And you hold him really high on this pedestal.
Uh-huh.
And so I joked about you being a stalker, but because you find yourself in front of this guy more times than anybody else should.
Oh.
But there's this little band called Aerosmith.
Yes.
And quite a popular band when all the rest of the bands seemed to be from Britain. There was Aerosmith. And there's this dude that looks like a lady.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
He looks like an old lady these days.
Well, I'm not going to deny some of it. I've seen his pictures, okay? But unconditional love is unconditional.
So you have
Till death do us part, bitch.
you have finagled your way in front of this guy
Oh my
quite a
God.
few
I've
times.
manifested it, Doug.
Yeah, she has.
You call
Sure
it
enough,
manifestation. Some people call it planning out your stalker.
Your stalker plan.
Yeah.
Your stalker blueprint.
I'm just
Just
saying.
don't open that notebook.
it's
No, not that one.
It's not that it worked, but he actually put a smooch on you on stage.
Yes, in front of thousands of people.
Please tell me.
Oh, I would love to tell you. Thank you. So I've seen them in concert, as you might imagine, more times than I can count. And living in Nashville, he lived in Nashville for a time.
She knew exactly where.
Oh, I did.
Is this during his country phase?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it was. And yes,
Not
Melissa,
my-
I
not
did.
my not
I
my
knew
favorite
his
Steven Tyler
address,
phase.
both of them, the one he rented and the one he bought. He actually bought Kesha's old house.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So I'm sorry, I missed
Only
what
from
you said.
you.
Oh, nothing. I said it's just not my favorite phase of Steven Tyler.
Oh, no, it's not mine either, but yet I could appreciate some of the stuff that he did.
Hey, you want to try something different?
Yeah, I get it. So, and the musicians that played with him were great. I didn't necessarily care about the songs too much. There were a couple of songs I really enjoyed, but nonetheless, yes, it was in his country phase. So, I would have friends call me and be like, or they'd text me, "Your man's at Whole Foods. Get down here right now." I would drop everything. Literally things would be busted on my kitchen floor and I'd run out the door and get in my car and go. And, he just left, So I missed him so many times. And, a friend of mine and I, we went to Chicago to see him. We actually got backstage. We got to see the concert from the side of the stage. I mean, he was within 5 feet of me, but never got introduced, never got a picture, never, And I was like, nope, I'm sticking with it. I got this dream. I'm doing it. I know it's going to happen. So fast forward a few years ago when they had their residency in Vegas, I just was like, okay, I'm going balls out. I got to do it. This is it. This really could be it. Because, they're no spring chickens. Am I right? So I'm...
Well, you're right.
Yeah. So I spent, a whole lot of dough to get super good seats for this show. So I was second from the stage, and the poor man that had the seat in seat number one, I mean, really, he should have
Just
got
move
his
back.
money
Just
back
switch.
because
Yeah.
I was in seat number one, Poor
Just
man.
switched with you.
I'm really not even
Seriously.
going to apologize, dude. I'm going to be right here. So there you go.
He
Just need to
probably
know
was
that right
not
now.
that upset
He
about
wasn't
it.
that offended.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
No, he was all right. So the whole night, Steven is walking down and his microphone and his scarf is hitting my face, and I'm just drooling, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best night ever,
Oh,
And
man.
my boyfriend at the time, who I'm still with, he won Boyfriend of the Year because as the whole band came down at the very end of the show, because it's a residency, they take a little bit longer and they thank the crew, the lighting people, everybody. So, they're all standing around, the front of the stage, just hey, you want the mic? You want to talk? Yeah, okay. So he's passing the mic. So he says something, he passes the mic off to Joe, and as he passes the mic off to Joe, he's kind of coming my way, and my boyfriend pushes me up on the stage. And so I am kneeling on the stage, and Steven walks over to me and he sees me. And I, of course, am like deer in the headlights. I've just got my hands up like this. Oh, because his shirt is
On
wide
her
open at this
knees.
point because, he's sweaty and nasty from, it's delicious. So So I have my hands up, and he walks over to me. And okay, you have to be quiet for this part because it's important. He reaches down and he pulls my face to his face. And as he's pulling it in, he goes, and he plants a kiss right on my left cheek. The moan was very important, as you will know.
Well, of course.
Is this the left cheek you yet to have washed?
Yeah, it's got blush on it, but it's from like 5 years ago. I just keep laying it on.
She's got Steven Tyler's DNA on her.
Oh my God.
She's planning on cloning
She
him
is
later.
a DNA swab thing.
I did
That's
ancestry.com on him, and he is not from this world, let me tell you.
Oh my goodness.
So stupid.
So stupid.
The best thing to come out of Aerosmith is Liv.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I
She
named
is.
my dogs after, Liv. I had Livy, and then Tyler,
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
She's got
I'm
she's got
serious.
a, what's your tag say on the back of your Beamer?
well, now everybody's gonna know what my
You don't have to spell it out.
Oh, okay. Dream On. It says Dream On. Yes.
yeah, it does.
It's a pretty cool car too.
It's a great car.
It's a hot car.
I love it.
Me too.
Yeah.
With the best license plate.
So, and then she doesn't tell the rest of the story, which is they handcuffed her and hauled her away.
No, they did.
No.
So, I don't think you manifested that. I think your boyfriend did.
I will say he was very instrumental in that. Yes.
Yes.
Very, very
Action
true.
had to take place. and
Yes.
Boyfriend took some action.
Yeah. But see, I did manifest it in that I was bringing the energy to me. He knew my dream and he helped take the action, and he won Boyfriend of the Year, pushing me up there and made it happen. So, yeah.
So, manifesting. We're going to move on to this next topic. Now, I'm not okay. I don't buy into all the woo-woo, but I will say this: that the whole thing behind manifesting is it starts to get you in the frame of mind of if you don't want something bad enough, you're never going to get it. Now, I don't know if I totally believe in the whole manifesting thing, but I've talked to you enough to start buying into the process.
Yes. Good
And
job.
so even if I'm wrong or right, getting in the right frame of mind, and that's kind of what you do, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, there's a lot of people that talk about manifestation and law of attraction. And the fact of the matter is, whether you believe in gravity or not, you're still sitting here not floating in the air because it's science. Okay? So whether you believe in manifestation or law of attraction or not, it's still happening. And the unpopular truth is we are constantly manifesting. You manifest every single thing you experience in your life, good, bad, otherwise. If you don't like what you've manifested, that's on you. If you like what you've manifested, that's on you.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when we see something in our life that we don't want, it's natural for us to focus on that. Oh my God, why did that happen? I don't want that. It sucks. Da, da, da. And what kind of energy are you putting out in the world then? You don't want it. It sucks. It's awful. All these negative energies.
Yeah.
So energy is attracted, like attracts like. So that negative energy is attracted to the negative energy that you're putting out. And guess what you see? When people say, oh, I just have bad luck. Well, yeah, you sure do.
Yeah.
Because you attract
Bringing
bad
it
luck.
to you.
Yeah.
Like when you wake up and you're late for work and then you hit every red light.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It is happening. That is all part of it.
Did you see this happened yesterday at Marietta? The Marietta police Facebook page had it. Lady was having a bad day, evidently. They told her to slow down after her first accident and ticket. 37 minutes later, when she hit the parked police car and got her second accident and ticket, and she's like, I just got a lot of things going on this year.
Uh-huh.
Now you have even more. Good job,
Yeah.
lady.
Manifest.
She manifested.
Well, welcome.
a little bit better of a day, would you?
Seriously.
Or get the hell off the road.
Seriously.
Right.
In Marietta Square, everyone when I say, let's meet in Marietta Square, and everyone says, there's never any parking. I'm like, I park in front of everywhere I'm going as soon as I
She
pull
does.
up.
She does.
I manifested
I
it
do.
today by calling Brian Borders.
There you go.
and saying,
Fine.
Stand in
you
front.
took action. And there was tons of parking. You
And
know what
what
I
was-
did to myself? I actually blocked my manifesting today because I was like, oh, because Doug told me he's getting the spot that Brian's holding for him. So I imagined that all the other spots were taken.
no.
And I parked, across the street, which
Yeah.
wasn't far. But then I walk up and there's all these spots. I was like, I fucked myself over
Sure did.
by listening to this fool.
Yes.
I know.
All right. Stop.
Okay, sorry. I
Okay,
got it.
I do not. This is where I draw the line. I don't think because you were thinking about empty parking spots that they happen.
Absolutely.
But I
Yes.
will say
Yes, they
this.
Yes, they do.
I picture where I'm parking. I end up within 1 to 2 spots from there every single time I come to Marietta Square.
Visualization is part of manifestation.
Visualization. Yeah.
It's true.
You know what I'm
Fight me.
manifesting right now?
Oh, dear Jesus.
A fight between me and you
Right.
later.
Oh,
Boxing.
I do not need to be
Slap
whipping your
boxing
ass
outside.
on video.
We need no
I-
witnesses.
What I need right now, before I get any deeper into this, is I need a drink of Four Roses small batch. Has anybody
do
got
it.
I
that?
just
Let's do
happen
it.
to have some.
Shit, this manifesting stuff.
See, it works.
My daughter called me the other day and says, I'm trying to manifest myself a new car. And I'm like, well, you better manifest your ass getting to work.
Hey, that'll get her in
That's
a car.
part of it.
You
Yes.
do have to put action
Yes,
in.
that is true.
You do.
So what'd you bring with you today, Michelle?
I brought Four Roses small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey crafted from 4 select bourbons.
Do you know anything about it?
Hell no.
So,
I know it has a really
Okay.
pretty bottle.
I love it.
old brand that for a long time you could not get in the United States. You could only get it overseas.
Oh.
Why?
They got bought by a bigger company like Seagram's or somebody, and they just decided, bourbon's a big deal overseas. And this is before the big bourbon, bourbon's really a huge
Revolution.
thing now.
Mm-hmm.
This is before that. And I remember I worked for a Dutch company for several years, and I had one of the guys coming over to work on a project with me bring me a bottle of Four Roses, and it was horrible bourbon. It's not the same bourbon that you get now, but it was just a mass-produced, just a
Cheap.
blended,
Like a well.
like a well type of bourbon, but they sold the hell out of it overseas because it
Dang.
was American bourbon that you could only get there.
And they liked it.
But this small batch stuff, I mean, Four Roses, they're small batch, they're selects, they're single barrels, their special runs are phenomenal.
You like it.
This is one of the better distilleries out there. And I've been, it was during COVID, so they wouldn't let us tour hardly anything, but we've been there. And cool place.
Where is it?
It's up near Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh,
I think it's
nice.
pretty close to Bardstown. It says on the
It's
back
probably
of
on the
there.
back, yeah.
And it is a pretty bottle.
Lawrenceburg,
Lawrenceburg,
Kentucky.
yeah.
Cool.
It's
It's
all
really
up
pretty
there in
bottle.
that
And
same area.
I will say I have had this before, though I'm not normally a bourbon drinker, but I have.
Do it right there.
I know I'm going to do it right there. But I have had mixed drinks. I know it's probably a sin that I just said that, but I have had mixed drinks with this. And I like it.
It's
And-
not a sin. It's just kind of like wine too. I ask people, "What's a
this-
really good wine?" It's the one you like.
You ready?
We're going to
Yeah.
open it.
Oh, very
That's
good.
a fun one.
I manifested that. Let me pour you a little swig of my Four Roses.
Or 2 ounces.
Right? Okay, enough. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Oh, is that a lot?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's gonna be fine.
I think you need to let it breathe, though, yeah?
Yes.
That's what
Okay,
the guy at
all right.
Sprayberry told me.
Not a lot of alcohol in the nose though.
Oh.
No.
So it won't
Small
burn
batch
that
is
much?
good. This is
let's
such
get
a
that open
consistent
in case you
bourbon.
want some more. Oh, I did pour you a lot, didn't I?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's all right.
So what they do with small batches is rather than just pour all the barrels together, or rather than only pull it out of one barrel, which is a single barrel, they blend small amounts of barrels, like anywhere from 10 to 20 barrels or so. And because of that, it stays really consistent.
Yeah.
So, single barrel can get really different from one bottle to the next.
Mm-hmm.
But a small batch generally is pretty much the same from one bottle to the next.
Nice.
Letting it breathe.
Letting it breathe. Okay. Do you have to do that with all bourbons, whiskeys? Is it best to do that?
Yeah. Oh God, it's so good.
Oh, I picked a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. You should.
Okay.
Because
for how long? What does that mean? What's that
it
even
doesn't.
mean?
It just
Just
if
a few minutes?
if you're nosing it, and when I say nosing it, you breathe through your mouth actually.
Oh.
What?
If you stick your nose in there.
Okay.
And then breathe through your mouth.
through your mouth.
Oh, that burns a lot more.
Oh.
But you pick up the flavors.
Oh.
It smells delicious.
It smells
That smell nice.
way different than because if you just
Yeah,
stick your
if you
nose in
just
there and
sniff
smell it, all you're going to smell is alcohol.
And plastic cup.
Yeah, shh, don't tell anybody.
We're not supposed to be drinking it out of a
No,
plastic.
I
know.
left the tasting
Failed.
glasses at the house.
Fail.
It's okay. You brought snacks.
This I did.
Okay.
So yeah,
We gonna
what are you
try it then?
Oh,
tasting?
that smells delicious.
What are
It
you
smells
tasting?
like honey.
Oh, I forgot to
Oh,
Or
bring
like
it.
honey.
molasses or something.
I brought you a tasting wheel, and it's out in the truck, and I will give it to you before we record the next episodes.
Okay. What's that? What's a tasting wheel?
It helps you pick out all the flavors
Cheers.
and
that's
smells and
cool.
aromas.
So the last podcast we did with our wonderful mortgage man was very caramely.
Well, yeah, it was rum. I mean, it was sugar.
Okay.
Yeah. But it tasted kind of like a bourbon, though.
That it did. So you can definitely taste the barrel in that.
Yeah. Smack it.
Sweet, which
It is
is
sweet.
Sweet Caroline.
Yeah, that's very indicative of the corn that's in it.
Corn.
Yeah. Well, bourbon's got to have at least 51% corn in the mash to be bourbon. And so,
Versus whiskey?
well, yeah, bourbon is a whiskey.
Okay, I don't understand.
Me
So-
neither.
okay, look,
Let's educate.
please.
Because I'm doing this podcast, so y'all don't know what the hell I'm talking
So
about.
I'm going to do my best here, and there's going to be people that are going to email and say you're wrong. And then
They're gonna be like,
Haters.
why are you
So,
co-hosting with that
whi-
idiot
whi-
girl?
whiskey is generally an alcohol that is made from grain, and then it's finished in barrels, and usually charred barrels. To be bourbon, it has to be brand new American oak,
Okay.
freshly charred. Nothing else has ever been in it before. A lot of the color comes from the char inside the barrels. It pulls the flavors in and out of the oak and the char over the course of seasons that it's in the barrel. So they're in the rick houses, and the barrels might get rotated in that, but they're really from the change in the seasons and the humidity. It forces the juice in and out of the barrel, so it picks up a lot of flavors and colors and things like that.
Okay.
So whiskey is made from grains, and usually is finished, in barrels like that. And it's aged. Now you can drink, like if you ever moonshine technically is whiskey.
Okay.
Okay, and it's just not been aged. It's just white. It's
Okay.
clear.
Okay.
Really strong.
And so
It is.
technically, bourbon starts out as what you would consider moonshine because it's made from at least 51% corn. I think to be called bourbon, it has to be made in the U.S. It has to have been aged in brand new American white oak charred barrels. Has to be aged for at least 2 years.
Okay.
But most of them are aged a lot more than that. Like the really, really, really cheap ones might only be, that still call themselves whiskey or call themselves bourbon.
Okay.
But so yeah, bourbon is a whiskey, but not all bourbon is whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon.
Okay.
And so when you
Okay.
talk about Scotch or Irish, Canadian, they're all whiskeys, but they're made in a style that is
Different.
distinctly from those areas, those countries. But none of them really have the same requirements that bourbon has to be called bourbon.
Okay.
So a Scotch whiskey could be any whiskey made in Scotland,
Okay.
and mostly it's the malted barley is roasted over something peat or whatever, and that's where it gets a smoky flavor. But there's no it's made in Scotland and that's Scotch whiskey.
Okay.
It's made in Ireland and that's Irish whiskey. It's made in Canada and that's Canadian whiskey. Now Canadian whiskey has a lot of rye in it, but bourbon has has to be over
With the
51% corn. It has to be done a certain way and finished a certain way.
Interesting. Okay.
That is interesting.
That is. Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Now I know what I'm doing.
And I'm sure, like I said, there'll be plenty of people that send me emails and say, you didn't say this or you said this wrong, but that's the gist of it.
Okay.
And
he's trying to explain it to us.
The
so-
basics,
Yeah.
like the blonde basics.
Yeah, exactly.
but when
That's helpful.
when you
That's
taste
all I need to
bourbon,
know. That's
you'll
fine.
pick up all kinds of flavors. Some people pick up flavors like leather and and mascarpone and burnt whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, but
usually-
so now I have another question then. So does because I know for me, I'm more of a wine or tequila drinker.
Me too.
And for me, the glass that it's in makes a difference, but it's only like in my head. So does the glass or what you're drinking it out of
It
make a
can, yeah.
difference?
Okay, so it can. You could pick up the smell or flavor of plastics in here,
plastic.
especially drinking it straight.
Okay.
The shape of the glass can have a lot to do with it because it forces the aromas and changes. Because flavor is so connected to your smell
Yeah.
that it could change the
absolutely.
way it tastes. But that's why bourbon tasting glasses, whiskey tasting glasses tend to have a flare of some sort on them. Maybe a little bit like a bulb toward the bottom, and then
Yeah.
it flares
Is
out.
that like a snifter?
So a brandy snifter is a shape for
okay.
brandy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So like a Glencairn or a Mackenzie Dram or something like that, which are different shaped glasses, but they almost always have a flare of some sort to them. So it's for nosing, for what you were doing, sticking your nose in there, and even wine glasses for different types of wine.
Yeah,
that's why there's different
that's
ones
true.
for reds and whites.
Yeah, that's why I asked because
Yeah.
I choose a different glass for certain
And
things.
we've got some wine folks that are going to come on. 3 Strands, Jason Summerhour said he's coming
Yay.
on, but we got to wait. He's in the middle of a lot right
Okay.
now. So we're probably not going to get him on until May.
Okay.
But so it's
I like that.
this is this small batch 4 Roses is a hell of a bourbon.
It's very good.
What was cost?
So
on this?
what
About
was that
$40?
It was $34.99, I believe.
Yeah, tough
Nice.
for the money. This is
What
really
was?
good.
It's really great.
What do you taste? What should we?
Well,
be
I
tasting?
taste what you should be tasting is what you taste. Your taste buds are different than mine.
I taste caramel
I taste a lot of caramel. Yeah, I taste a lot of caramel, and
and some spice.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of spice in this, but I do. I definitely do taste the sweetness of the corn.
Yeah.
I don't taste a lot of malt in this. Not saying I don't know how much is in that mash bill, but I do taste a lot of caramel. I like this. I think
good.
for the money, this is a really tough bourbon to beat.
Yeah.
And you can at
And you can mix
$35, you
it.
don't feel bad making a cocktail with it for
Yeah.
Yeah,
$35.
yeah.
What's the best thing to mix it with?
Seriously?
Ginger ale.
No,
What?
an ice cube.
Come on.
Ginger ale's always good. Have you ever had Ale 81? It's a ginger soda from Kentucky, and when you mix it with bourbon, they call it a Kentucky Highball, preferably
Ooh.
mixed with Woodford Reserve. I like the simple stuff. I like old fashions, which is just simple syrup and bitters and a little bit of orange and
I
cherry.
do like that.
At the cigar
That's
cellar
what
the
I
other
had.
night. Oh my gosh. Best old fashioned I've ever tasted.
Do you know what kind
Did you
of
get the
bourbon
smoked
it was?
one? Did you
No,
get
it was not a
they're
smoked one. There's a new bartender there, and he hooked it up. Remember that old fashioned that we had at the cigar? Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of that place. That's probably if I have a Cheers.
Yeah.
It's if I have a Cheers, yeah, she's over there waving. Our producer's like waving at us. Blue cheese
Blue
olives.
cheese. We had martinis, and our friend that joined us had a old fashioned. It was the best old fashioned I've ever tasted.
They do a great
ever.
smoked old fashioned up
So
there.
good. It's
But-
a beautiful presentation.
So-
Comes out with
yeah.
like a globe over it and lifts it up and all this smoke.
my wife bought me that kit, and I've yet to make it. I've had it a year, and I've yet to use
you
it. Well, you
gonna do
can't
that
smoke it in the
for?
house
I
either.
know.
But I like to take a high rye bourbon or a rye whiskey that has more than, that'd be in a case where you'd have more than 51% rye instead of corn. And I like Manhattan with a little bit of sweet vermouth.
Yum.
And some bitters. And I'm really starting more and more to like tequila old fashions with extra aged añejo. and Aztec chocolate bitters.
Oh,
What?
yum. Okay, write that down.
Oh, man.
Yeah, showstopper.
Sounds good.
I'm coming back
Showstopper.
for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do
We'll just go have a drink when this is over. Go grab one next door.
But this is good. Fantastic.
Very good.
I think it's one of the best under $40.
Well, good. I'm glad.
And I'm glad
'cause
this is the
I've
bottle
only
you
had
chose
it
to
in
bring.
mixed, but it's such a pretty bottle, and you know.
Yeah, they have one that's called I think it's called Small Batch Select. And so they do the small
Yes,
batch.
I saw
and
that
they pick
too.
the best ones, and it's a little bit more expensive.
Yes.
And it just every time I taste it, it's a little different with each one, but every single time it knocks it out of the park. And I think it's around $50.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it was like not much more than this one. Actually, it was sitting right next to it.
Yeah. So let's manifest some more information from you.
All right. What do you wanna know?
Well, you do your coaching,
Yeah.
and it's all types of businesses. Probably the craziest thing I've seen you do is you're really into crystals, which I told you a good crystal story.
That is
other
not
day.
the craziest thing she does.
No,
definitely not.
okay,
That's
but-
totally tame.
Totally tame.
You guys drug. Now you weren't with us, Melissa. And this
I
is your own
know,
fault.
I know.
I got drug into.
Wah.
I got drug into a crystal store in Nashville,
The
Tennessee.
best.
Actually, it's called the National Crystal Store. So
Yes.
there you go.
And,
There's two of
the
them.
lady did not like me. I was bored out of my skull. These guys are all in there, like just.
She did not like
geeking
you.
out.
She just knew you weren't into it. That's
Oh no,
fine.
she got mad at me.
Why?
She
What'd you
did
do?
not.
So they had this
Oh,
display
he
in the
probably,
center
like,
of the
did
store, and
something
they had all like
inappropriate.
these.
He did something inappropriate.
No, just
Let's-
listen.
I
This
know.
is not inappropriate.
Yeah, right.
I was observational.
Yeah, right.
They had a bunch of like those Catholic prayer
Oh,
candles.
here
like,
we
that-
go.
Yeah.
They're really popular in Hispanic culture.
Yes.
And there's one with Jesus right in the middle of all the crystals. And I'm bored out of my skull. I've been in there like an hour with you guys. I'm
Oh,
like,
for
I've seen
heaven's sake, you
enough.
were not in there an hour.
Oh, it seemed like it.
10
And
minutes.
I very loudly said, Jesus Christ, look at those crystals. And that's when she started glaring at me.
Kick him out. He's the devil. Get
Kick
the
him
hell out of
Kick
here.
him out. Kick him out. Kick him out.
So,
You are absolutely the worst.
I
so
did wonder
tell-
where you
uh,
did.
Sage
should
your
should I
ass.
tell her the other crystal story that I told you?
Yes.
Let's
Okay.
hear it.
All right, so I'm the world's worst father. I want to put that out there.
No.
No,
I
you're
think it's pretty damn
not.
cool, actually.
So my youngest daughter turned 21 last October, and I'm like, she really was all over me. Hey, I'm going to come home like 3 weeks after my birthday. She goes to the University of Georgia. I'm going to come home. I really want to go out with you, have my first legal drinks. And I'm like, where do you want to go? And she goes, I want to go to the Clermont Lounge.
Yes.
Now, this is where I stop and tell anybody who's not from Atlanta that's listening that Dave Attell, who's one of the best comedians to ever do this, that do the comedian stuff, he used to do the show called Insomniac, where he went out after his shows in a city and did all the nightlife that you would do in that city. And he went to the Clermont Lounge, and his exact words were, "This is where old strippers go to die."
Die. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
so this
strippers
is
go to die.
this place is one of the oldest dive bars in the United States. They're known for a rather large and very old, and I say old, she's about 70 now. A stripper, her name is Blondie.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool lady, one of the highest paid strippers in the country, and she's not petite.
Nope.
She is black with a blonde wig.
Mm-hmm.
She is well endowed, and she likes to crush PBR cans with her boobs.
With her boobies.
and
True.
autographs them for you.
True.
Are they real? Not the cans.
Oh, the boobs.
The other
absolutely,
cans.
I think the boobs
absolutely.
are
Oh yeah,
real.
the cans
Yeah.
are real.
Yeah.
So we went. She wanted to go. She wanted to go to Clermont. We went. Unfortunately, Blondie only works like 3 nights a week
Yeah.
now. She
If
was not.
that.
Yeah,
I don't know if she even
yeah.
does that anymore.
So she was not working that night, which was not a big deal. But the first woman to walk up, and we're with some cousins and stuff. And my wife had to work. She was not happy. She wanted to go with us. The
Best
first lady that
parents.
comes up to the table, would you like a dance? So this woman was probably in her late 40s, maybe 50. She kind of had the librarian look going. She was a pretty lady. She really was, better looking than most of the women that were in there. And we explained to
There's
her.
hope for us, Melissa.
Yeah.
Such an ass. Gosh, dang it.
We explained to her that, hey, this is my kid. She just turned 21. This is all she wanted to do for her 21st birthday. So, yeah, she goes over and dances for her and gives her motorboats and comes over and then I motorboat. And it's just weird. So we can all say that. But so this other woman walks up and she's got the coolest tattoos and she's really inked up. But she's, again, like, she's a pretty good looking woman.
Okay.
But again, she's in that late 40s, early 50s maybe. And she's got this big crystal hanging around her neck.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, I've had a few drinks already. And I'm like, my friend Michelle, she's really into crystals. Is that a crystal? And she goes, oh, yeah. She goes, my granddaughter gave it to me.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, that's the exclamation point on what the Clermont Lounge is.
That's amazing, though. I'd probably tip her a ton.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Go buy more crystals.
We'll talk about that for the rest of our lives. But
that's amazing.
Yes.
That first stripper, she grabs my poor daughter's head, shoves it into her chest, and she's like, you get in there deep and make your daddy proud. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, what have I done?
And this is where you skip to the next podcast.
Yeah. So I warned them.
I know. They're still
But I just
listening.
What rating
believe
is this
it.
podcast?
Yeah, definitely.
I checked the right boxes when
Okay,
I signed it.
Okay, good.
So, but it's funny that there I sit in the Clermont Lounge and I see a crystal. I'm like, oh, well, my friend Michelle would love that.
I'm so glad you thought of me while you were at the Clermont Lounge.
Motorboating.
Motorboating.
Frickin'
with a crystal
strippers.
stripper.
Yeah. In their 50s.
Hey, well, I mean, I'm cool with that. But
Fun times.
But yeah, so crystals are not the most far out thing that I do. I mean, I did put on my little sheet there, I see dead people.
And I did mention that. And
Yeah.
So how old were you when you figured out that you were seeing dead people?
Well, I didn't know they were dead. They weren't dead to me. They were quite real. I mean, I had an imaginary friend since ever I could remember. I mean, she's not around anymore. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know that everybody didn't have the same experiences. I mean, it was just normal for me. My family played along because they thought I just had a big imagination, which, that I'm sure that was part of it, but I wasn't using my imagination like she was real. And so, yeah, I mean, I would see things and hear things and feel things, but I just thought it was normal. And it wasn't until, you get into school and you start, being around other kids and families and going to church and whatever, that you're like, oh, I'm not like, okay, I got it, and you, a lot of us, and I will say us because, there's a community, even though we all have gifts, just not everybody wants to admit it. Yeah, we all do and I'll prove it. Have you ever had a gut feeling about anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. You got it.
Yeah.
That's intuition. That's messages that are being sent to you. Higher self, God, source, universe, angels, guides, many, many different things. And many different people consider the names differently too. But nonetheless, everybody has it. So fast forward, in high school, I had some really cool experiences in high school where I was very aware that my gifts were real. Like I wasn't making them up, and other people witnessed them, witnessed me having them. And so it was like, oh yeah, this isn't all in my head. I don't need to be hospitalized, not for that anyway.
Right.
And then I was 17 and I saw an accident happen before it happened. And then it happened and I physically saw it, and I turned all my gifts off because it scared the bejesus out of me. And then I did not open them back up until much later, and very sparingly, I will say.
Yeah.
And then we get into COVID and I'm, trying to figure out who I am, and I start remembering who I am, and that's when it all came back around. So yeah, I've had some very, very interesting and miraculous, beautiful, and life-changing things happen to me in the past 3 years, for sure.
Yeah. And you created a whole new business
I did.
that uses these gifts to
Yeah.
help others.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about what I get to do every day, beyond speak to dead people, is coaches. As coaches, our goal is to help people succeed in whatever way that they want to, business, relationships, health, whatever. And yet, in our human confines, we can only know so much, no matter how experienced we are. But if we can tap into a higher source, whatever that higher source is, we can be given messages for others. And we can see things that other people can't see, which is why what I get to do is so powerful, because I can see things that other people can't see. I'm not saying I'm the only one that can see them, but compare me to a typical, business coach or life coach, and a lot of them are not going to see the things that I do because I use my intuition and the messages that I'm receiving. And sometimes they're from dead people, and I'm not kidding. They really, truly are. I mean, we've had some experiences, Melissa.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something crazy that happened to me. Well, some of you know, like I went and spoke at a big place in Nashville, and I had to I chose to talk about my stepdad who has passed away. And he was an alcoholic, but he was a great person overall. And first of all, I was very nervous about the talk because it was over 100 people in the audience. I was nervous. So Michelle sent me, what did you call it?
An activation.
Activation.
I remember that, yeah.
She did. She sent me an activation for confidence and, confidence on the stage. I practiced quite a bit. And actually, when I got on stage, like, I remembered everything. I brought my laptop on stage, didn't use it. I closed it, and I just had this amazing confidence, got through it. Then the night before, I was walking back to my room with some friends, David Boswell and a couple people, his wife, and this man walks past me, and he looked so much like his energy, everything about him looked like my stepdad, except he had dark hair and my stepdad had blonde hair. But his outfit, the glasses he wore were exactly like my stepdad's, his whole energy. And I made eye contact with him, and I got the shivers. And then I turned back around and I saw him continue to walk, and I looked to David, my friend. I was like, did you just see that guy? Because I was like, wait, was that a spirit or what? And so David fucked with me, and he's like, what guy? What are you talking about? I was like, shut up, David, you idiot. I know you saw him. I hope he listens to this. Okay, so then I do my talk the next morning. I fucking killed it. I did so good. I actually got voted one of the top 3 speakers of that whole event. And there were quite some amazing speakers there. And the audience, a lot of them chose me as one of the top 3. So the next day, I'm going back again to my room with my other friend, Miranda, who wasn't with me that night. And I see the guy again, and I stopped him. And I was like, did you see me last night? And he's like, yeah, I saw you. And I was like, I just want to say, this is crazy, but you remind me so much of my stepdad. And I'm here at a conference. I'm speaking about him and how he passed away and all this stuff. And your whole energy, everything. And he looked at me and was like, I just want you to know your stepdad is so proud of you. And gave me a hug and everything. It was the most crazy thing ever that I've experienced in a spiritual, even though he was a being, obviously, he was a human.
It was human body.
Yeah, but it was the energy of my stepdad, and it was crazy. I got the goosebumps. He's like, I definitely saw you, and he's so proud of you. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, see, I haven't had experiences to that extent. My stuff's always been, I definitely have had experiences with spirits, with ghosts, so to speak, and not like horribly negative, but stuff where I knew, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And my wife has too. I mean, she and I have talked about this quite a bit, but I was pretty young, 14, 15 years old when I had my experience. But I had a spirit pass right through my chest.
Yeah.
And there was no question about it. I was at a historical site. It was at night. I wasn't supposed to be where I was at, but it was
Crazy.
famously known that a
love
family had died there. They had been killed by the local Indians and
Wow.
thrown over a waterfalls that was there. They had a grist mill, and this is in Ohio. And I couldn't tell you who, what, where, why, but when it happened, there was no question what happened. And so I'm there, and there's people that look at you and say, you're just absolutely nuts. But once you
Experience something like
it,
that, it's crazy. Well, it's not crazy. It's actually pretty normal. And I think a lot of people turn it off, kind of like how Michelle said she turned it off. Let me tell you one more story about my daughter, Elia, who's 4.
Oh, I love this.
Elia, who needs to take a bath because you schmellia.
Yes, Elia Schmelia. Listen to this shit. So I live up in Kennesaw, Ackworth, and downtown Kennesaw, and her school is on Stanley Road. I know a lot of people don't know if you're not from Kennesaw, but there's multiple ways. You could go down Cobb Parkway. You could go through downtown. And I take different ways every time depending on how I'm feeling, how the traffic's looking. So I'm going down one morning through downtown Kennesaw, and I get to the stoplight, and Elia looks over at this house, and she's like, oh my gosh, Mom, I used to live there when I was 30 years old with my parents. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, we had a business and everything. She was like saying this. She's 4 years old. She's saying they had a business, a family business, and she lived there. I'm like, okay, that's great. I didn't shut her down. I was like, cool. And then the conversation faded out. And then she gets to school. Like a few weeks later, I pick her up, and I haven't gone through downtown Kennesaw for a while. And not only haven't I got down through downtown Kennesaw, I was coming up the opposite way, which what 4-year-old knows direction, right? Right, left, north, south, that kind of thing. I'm coming up north through downtown. She looks to the left and was like, Mom, remember that's the house I told you about? I was like, what? And I will tell you,
she lived there.
Her favorite store is the crystal store. She's famous at the local crystal store because she takes her own basket to buy crystals. And then she brings her own basket in. She's like, where's my basket? We got to go to the crystal store. I'm like, oh
she
my
wants her
God.
own energy in there, man. She ain't going to use somebody else's basket.
That's right. We turn our society, unfortunately, turns people's gifts off because you're weird or crazy when you have too much intuition or allow it to happen. And I think some people definitely have a lot more than others, but
then on the flip side, that when you're weird and crazy, they're like, oh, you're normal.
that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and in the South too, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say the elephant in the room, the Bible Belt tells you that it's wrong because they don't believe that it's from God.
Right.
And
even though they have prophets.
They have prophets. They lay hands on people.
They have stories in the Bible
Speak in
about
tongues.
spirits.
Exactly.
And Holy Spirit.
Speaking in tongues.
Speaking tongues.
Yes, there's all of these things. And believe me, I grew up in church, so I know the stories. So, I understand where they're coming from, and yet opening my own mind has been a life changer.
And you've been able to change other people's lives.
Yeah. And, because we are, when we listen, and this is part of coaching too, when we listen to other people, to other people's opinions, to other people's beliefs, and we take them in as our own, we judge ourselves based on somebody else's opinion or belief. And we a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to really ask ourselves, what do I believe? Is that my belief, or is that something that the preacher from when I was 5 years old told me, and I just said, well, I better believe that because I don't want to go to hell.
Exactly.
And I mean no disrespect, because there's a place for every person. There's a place for every belief.
Yeah.
If you believe it, then believe it wholeheartedly. But when you don't believe it wholeheartedly, you have to ask the question, why? Yeah. And if not, okay, what is my truth? So, yeah, that could be a rabbit hole. I won't go down. But.
Now, do you work with men and women? Mostly women?
I mostly work with women. I will say one of my very first coaching clients was a man, and he completely changed my life. He ended up being one of the very first dead people I spoke to.
Oh.
because he died while I was coaching him.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It truly transformed my life, and
Wow.
I opened up a lot of things in my life because of him, and I'm so very grateful to him. He's a great supporter of me even now from the other side, and he tells me quite often to make sure that I'm valuing myself and not shortchanging myself, because he knows what he got out of the work that we did together on this earth and then after.
I had somebody, a family member who I was very close to, the reason I moved to Georgia, die in March of 20. Massive heart attack, widowmaker, 58 years old. Was probably my biggest mentor, definitely my best sounding board. And he has visited me several times in my dreams.
In your dreams.
But the conversation was crystal clear.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
And you can talk about just kind of helping me get over his death and kind of helping me move on and say, okay, you know what? You're of an age now that you're going to be a lot more of a mentor than a mentee.
Yeah.
And that's hard to accept. But I mean, you'll know it someday, Melissa. Michelle and I are a lot closer in age than you are to us. So
I know that.
it comes in a hurry, but it's again, I don't know. I pick at her and I make fun of her, and it's all in.
And now
it's all
we're
because
finding
of
out
her.
you're very intuitive, mister.
I didn't know that you
love
talk to
this.
dead people too, so
Yes,
you can't
you
make fun
sure
of so much
do.
anymore.
Oh, I
You sure
can.
do.
It's too much
I mean,
fun
you
to get
can.
you
I
wound up.
love it.
I'm just going to roll my eyes even bigger now.
We're gonna buy you crystals for your birthday.
None of
taking you
these
back to the crystal
stories.
Elia will pick some out for you. She'll pick the right one.
She'll get you your own basket.
Oh, and here's the crazy thing about her. She doesn't buy like the pretty pink ones. She buys like the orange ones and the brown ones. I was like, don't you want prettier ones?
She's picking them because of their energy.
I know. It drives me nuts. I was like, we already have that brown amber one. Get a pink one. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap this up, because believe it or not, we've been well at it for over an hour.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
I know, it flew
nice.
by. Anything else you'd like to touch on?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, I go back to you're an amazing singer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Again, back to the Nashville trip that you didn't go on, Melissa.
I know. We got to have a reunion.
I watched her take a half-empty bar and fill it up in about 15 minutes. Now, my friend Chad will say it's because he got on the drums.
Hey, that absolutely has something to do with
I mean,
it.
that's
But I did.
synergy. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
they really put on a show that night and
We had a good time.
probably showed up the band that was on the stage, and I don't know if that's good or bad, but right on Broadway, and people were coming in at 1:30 in the morning to hear him kill it. And
Well,
That's
there's
awesome.
something about a chick singer. I will say that.
Yeah. For sure.
The majority of bands are men. They're filled with men. And there is nothing wrong with it. Hello, Aerosmith. So, I am not dogging it at all. What I'm saying is it's almost an anomaly of sorts when you hear a chick singer and she's not bad.
And looks
you
great
guys-
and has great energy.
You guys were doing some Eddie Money and Take Me Home, and you were killing.
Oh, were we doing that?
Yeah, Ronnie, you were
Really?
tearing it up.
I don't even remember.
We had been drinking a lot that night. I mean, we had been.
I can't imagine.
We had been on Broadway for hours.
I can't imagine.
We need a reunion so I could go.
You weren't there. It's not a reunion.
Oh, a reunion with everyone else
We'll
that was
do the
there
reunion.
with you. I know.
You get to
then
be a
I'll
first-timer.
join- Whatever.
We can always go. And Nashville's a 3.5 hour.
We
drive
have to
from here. It's
go.
not that far.
I
It's
wanna
not
go.
far at all. I would like to say something.
Yeah.
So, kind of tying everything in together, your energy, everything is energy. And your energy really does speak volumes, whether you know it or not. And the world that we live in today, and I'm not going to get heavy, but we all hear, even if we don't watch the news, we all hear about things that are going on. And fear is a very big energy. And when we allow ourselves to listen to and give in to fear, it can paralyze us. Mm-hmm. And if we choose our energy, we choose to believe or not to believe, or listen or not to listen, we truly can manifest the life that we want to live simply by choosing what we focus on and our energy. So that's through our thoughts, through our emotions, and through our actions. We create our energy. So if you are, no matter where you are in your life, if you love the life you're living, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And if you don't, know this, you can change it. And it does not have to be hard.
Yeah. That's good. The other day I posted about fear is the thief of joy.
Oh, it so is.
I don't know if you saw that, but it is. And people get fearful, even in business, to take that chance in business.
Absolutely.
Or you took a huge chance. You went from making so much money to like doing this brand new intuitive coaching where you have to like convince people you're not some crazy witch.
Exactly. Because there are those crazy people out there.
There are.
They're not all honest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And but you're more joyful. You're happy because you pushed that fear away and took that chance. So I think a lot of business owners specifically really need to hear that message, is that, taking those chances and pushing that fear down. Yeah. It's okay to have some caution.
Absolutely. We have to use discernment.
Yes.
And that's where mentors come in, and good
Coaches,
advisors, friends, coaches, other business owners, or a mastermind group, things like that. People that you can bounce ideas off of and make sure that, you're not jumping off a cliff that has,
sharks at the water.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Well, if people want to find you.
Yeah.
Where do they go? Where do they find the Rockstar Coach? All sorts of
different places. So the Rockstar Coach is on, I have a website, rockstarcoach.org. My email is myrockstarcoach@gmail.com. And Facebook, The Rockstar Coach. Instagram, The Rockstar Coach. What else I got? Oh, YouTube. You can sign up for my free Monday morning meditations. Mm-hmm. If you go to my website, you'll see the pop-up there, and you can have free meditations that I channel weekly sent to your email directly on Monday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern.
Oof, I'm walking by that.
That's good. You could listen to it while you're walking. Oh, it's
perfect.
Good one. So she's been sending it to me so I work brain stuff, right? And I'm like, I don't want to meditate. That takes too much time.
They're like 5 minutes.
I know. And so I was having a really bad week one week, and I woke up in the morning. I was manifesting some bullshit. So then I woke up and I was like, fuck, let me check my email. And there's her stupid meditation. It's not stupid. I love it.
All this energy going, pick me. She's like, shut up.
And it was like the perfect one for that week that I absolutely needed to hear. And I just need to keep listening to them every week. I'm sorry. I'm going to start.
You don't have to be sorry.
But they're good and they're short, and you can listen to it while you're walking. I just laid in bed and listened to it. It was great. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the plug.
Well, I really, really, really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing the Four Roses.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was good.
It's 4 Roses, small batch.
So much fun.
I want to remind everybody that if you have any questions, comments, bitches, complaints, I probably won't listen to them, but you can send them to me. Ideas, maybe somebody you think will be a good guest. Or if you just want to let me know that you're following, because we keep up with that stuff and give away free booze once in a while, you can send an email to us at whiskeyafterworkpodcast@gmail.com. And with that, I look forward to everybody being here for the next episode. And
we out.
Till then.
Cheers. I drank all mine.